Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me on a rainy day throughout most of Indiana. It doesn't feel quite like spring, but it's a great time, and everybody is usually pretty busy at this time of the year, and that always means that we're struggling with how to manage our time, our efforts, our dealings with clients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which brings me to today's topic, Evernote and getting things done. Two different tools that you can use that will absolutely help you control your time better, do better work for your clients, enjoy your life more, and build a more profitable business. So, as usual, we start with talking about habits, attitudes, and skills, that trio of Buffini-style things that we think about. Again, we teach in our classes skills and tools for you to assimilate, and to use those, you have to practice with them and make use of them, just like a golf club or a violin when you start to learn it. That means you need to help develop habits of using these skills and tools. Initially, using those and setting times and making sure you focus on those things have to be disciplines. You have to make yourself do them at certain times and be organized. The goal is for those to turn into habits, of course, so that you, just like Michael Jordan or a great violinist, when they play something, they don't think about the individual notes, they just do it. And then all of those things combined with a good attitude will help improve your attitude further, and all of that will allow you to have the most successful business and enjoy your life and your family and your relationships, et cetera, a lot more. So, Evernote and getting things done. Those two things can make you both more efficient and more effective. Keep in mind that those two words mean different things. Effective means you get better results. Efficient means you get those better results faster, with less work, with less stress. So, those two things in combination are a great pair of tools. So more efficient and more effective. Wow, who wouldn't want to try something like that? So Evernote. Evernote advertises itself with the symbol of the elephant, and it stands for never forget, and that's sort of their little motto. Our management team at the company here has adopted Evernote as our tool to use for sharing information, files, and things among our team. So never forgetting is fabulous, because when you write things on a piece of paper, how often have you lost that piece of paper? Even if you keep a little notebook, what happens if you lose that notebook? Yeah, that's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to other people too. Although handwriting notes and fountain pens is one of my favorite things to do, I don't do it for the things that are important in my business. I do it for making notes for writing and things like that. So never forget, forever findable. Evernote can be shared across all your devices. You can set it up on your laptop, on your tablet, and on your smartphone. And it works both with Mac and Windows, and it works both with iOS and Android. So it works, and it looks a little bit different on each of these systems, but it was initially designed on Mac and iOS, but it works beautifully on Windows and on Android. And again, the key is you can have things on your phone, and when you are out someplace and you make a note in Evernote on your phone, and then you get back to your office and you open your laptop and you open up Evernote, that note that you just made on your phone is right there on your laptop. It's also on your tablet. So why is that important? I have more than once been out for a bicycle ride in the afternoon and gotten a call from a client. And I do pull the phone out of my jersey pocket and look. And if it's from a client and it's a time when I know there's something crucial going on, I'll pull over and listen to the voicemail. I don't answer the phone, but I listen to the voicemail. And if it's something urgent, I'll either call them back, and I've had on more than one occasion, someone has said to me, "Hey, David, I can't find the seller's disclosure, or I need this or that to send to my lender. Can you send it to me right away?" Here I am, sweaty, out miles from my house, and I can do that because I have put their purchase agreement and everything, not just in DocuSign, which could serve this purpose, but I've also put a copy of that signed document or whatever it is they're looking for in their Evernote notebook in my phone, and I can just go in, open it up, hit send, and send it to them. Boom, back on the bicycle I go. So you're never without anything. You never forget. It's forever findable. You can share it across all the devices, and you can compose annotate, calculate, draw, and present, and more on Evernote. And I don't know of another app, and there's a number of other ones that do some similar things. I don't know of another one that does as much as simply and easily as Evernote does. And yes, people often talk about Dropbox, where they'll share documents and things with their clients. And that's great. Dropbox holds big files. So if you got a gigantic file or something, sometimes they may not fit in Evernote. You might need to use Dropbox. You could then put a link to that Dropbox file in Evernote so that your client, if they're looking for it, doesn't have to go digging on through Dropbox to find it. They can go right to their Evernote shared notebook with you, click on that link, and boom, it opens it right up. So, and the thing with Dropbox, you can't write anything in Dropbox. You can just share files and stuff that you put in there. So Dropbox is indeed a box. Evernote does so much more than that. Just quickly, I'm going to encourage everybody to, if you don't already have Evernote, go in, download the apps. It has 3 different plans, Basic, Plus, and Premium. I'm a Premium user. It's $50 a year, which is, in my mind, a very inexpensive amount for it. But if you've not used it before or tried it, you can sign up for a free account, and you can look at the different things that you can do on it, and I will not get into those in detail right here, but there's 3 different plans. If you've not used it before, I encourage you to go on and download the Basic app. And I will tell you, download the app to your computer, phone, and tablet. There is also an online version where you can go to the internet and log on to your account online, so to speak. And that online version is very different from the app version. I don't like it nearly as well. So don't get confused by going to the online version. Go to the App Store, whether it's on Windows or on Mac or the Apple Store, and download the app to all 3 of your devices, your computer, your phone, and your tablet. And then the key with Evernote is it's a great way to be organized. Again, we talk about this time of the year, especially that whirlwind with activities with clients, with new prospects coming on, deals in motion, hopefully. They had a very, very busy time. It's tough to find time to do any real prospecting. Sometimes it's tough to even keep up with the transactions you're doing, let alone spending any time with your family or relationships or your own personal physical development or spiritual and mental development and that kind of thing. So this is an element that can help you find a way to do that. You still have to be the one to do it, but this is a great tool for helping you do it more easily than many other ways. So the key with Evernote organization is their hierarchy of stacks, notebooks, and notes. And stacks are what they call a file drawer. Think of a file drawer that is, buyers, or a file drawer that is personal financial information, a file drawer that is notes for my next book, or whatever it might be. You've got a file drawer full of file folders. In Evernote parlance, they call a file folder a notebook. Again, why they didn't just call them drawers, folders, and items or whatever, I don't know. But stacks, notebooks, and notes. Again, a notebook is a file folder. Think about file folder. You've got a file folder I have file folders, you probably do too, for each of your buyer clients, each of your seller clients, with all the stuff in that, physical papers and things in there for them. You may have a folder for prospects and things like that. Well, you can create a notebook in Evernote for each of those buyers, each of those sellers, each of those prospects, and more, and I'll get into that in a moment. And then what do you put in these notebooks, these file folders? You put individual notes. Again, that's what they call an individual thing, a document, an item, a file, a photo, etc., etc. And a note can be virtually anything that you can do or touch or have on a computer or a smartphone. It can be files. You can put an Excel file on there that is live. When you click on it, it opens up and it's the live Excel file. You can put a Word file on there that you open it up and it's the live Word file. You can put PDFs in there. You can forward emails that come to you from a client, for example, or from the other agent in a transaction that you want to make sure you save. And yes, you can set up a hierarchy of folders in your email, and many people do this. But there you're just going in looking for an email. If you set up a folder for a client, Seller Jones, for example, and you get an email from Seller Jones that says, we've decided to repaint the kitchen, but we don't agree with your recommendation of lowering the price. In other words, something substantive with regard to the status of your relationship with them and their pricing and the sale of their house. Forward it to Evernote and put it in their notebook so you've got it right there along with all of the rest of the stuff for that client. And then you don't have to say, oh gosh, was that a text that they sent me? Or was it an email? Or was it a phone call? Did I make some notes on that? Boom, you just look through Evernote and pull it right up. So you can forward emails to yourself. You can't do that on the free plan though. You have to pay to be able to do that, but that's a gigantic benefit in my mind, and I do it all the time. You can upload photos to it. You can upload PDFs. We'll get into one of the uses for it with buyers and sellers, especially with buyers. I put the PDFs of the MLS sheets for the homes we're looking at on a tour in a notebook. I share that notebook with my clients, and I've had clients who've said, oh, don't bring any paper. We'll just bring our iPad, and we'll bring these up and we'll annotate them and make notes on these as we walk through the house. That's much more efficient. So not only is it much more efficient, it's also more effective, it saves time, and it sure makes us look like we are cutting edge, on top of the game, know what we're doing. And if you're working with somebody under the age of, well, my age, they're probably going to expect you to do this, right? That was a joke. I'm pretty old. So anyway, PDFs. You can also, again, this is something that Dropbox can't do. You can have an active template that you can copy. And we have several templates I'm going to walk through and show you that I can share with you that you can set up. And then you can use that template to track various things like a buyer consultation, a listing consultation, pending to closing checklist that you can have right in your Evernote notebook for that client. So you've got everything right there. And again, the beauty of that is if you're doing yoga some afternoon and you get a call from your client and they want you to send something, you can reach over on the mat while you're doing yoga. You can still keep the downward dog pose and with one hand reach and send them that thing from wherever you are. So active templates, you can do handwritten notes and take a scan of it and put it right in there, and you can then annotate that. So you can put anything you can think of essentially into your notebook. So everything is there, everything can be shared, and everything, you never have to forget anything. You're never likely to forget anything. So let's look at Evernote for real estate briefly. One of the organizations that people recommend, and there are several people that have good websites on this that you can check out. Paperless Agent has some good things on it. Stacy Harmon has a great website on Evernote and Evernote for real estate. And you can Google and look up various things and come up with different ideas. But this is what I've called in terms of an approach for people, and we're going to go live in a minute, and I'll show you a little bit how this works. But for organizing yourself for real estate, the first thing I'm going to do is to point out to you, right up here, you'll see I've got an inbox. When you start an account with Evernote, it will create a default account name for you, a default primary notebook. And it will be your Evernote username that it assigns you. That might be DM Hassler or JR Mills or whatever. It's probably your name, might even have a number after it. So that first notebook up there, when you try this, is going to have your name on it. That's fun. That's kind of nice to see your name in print on something. But we recommend that you change the name of that default inbox to .inbox. And you got to put the dot there because the dot tells Evernote to put that one first. Otherwise, it will order them either by date that something was done, or as you can see in mine there, by number or alphabetical order. If I didn't have the numbers in front of them, it would order it by alphabetical order. So change your default notebook to .inbox, and What that means is, I mentioned the forwarding of things from your email address. When you get an email in and you want to forward it to Evernote, you just will click on your email that you've just received, and you'll click on forward, and then you will set up a contact in your contacts with a specific address that you will get from Evernote. And it's a bunch of numbers and stuff, and it says Evernote. But once you've set it up as a contact in virtually all email systems that exist out there that are worth their weight in gold, or weight in anything, pixels, if you type in EVER, it will put the whole address in. You stop typing and you hit send, and it forwards it to your inbox. You can then go in, when you have a chance, to your inbox and move that note to whichever notebook you want it to. Now, you can also forward it directly to Buyer Jones if you spell the Buyer Jones notebook precisely right, and you put that on the subject line of the email. When you forward it to Evernote, if you put something in the subject line, so if you're working with somebody a lot and you know that it's okay, it's Buyer Jones with no space or one space or whatever, and you put that in the subject line, it'll go right into Buyer Jones' notebook, saving you some time. I stopped trying that because I kept spelling the notebook name wrong, so I just sent it to the inbox, and then part of my daily routine is look through my inbox and move things to where they need to go on a fairly regular basis. So part of your daily routine. So that's the first thing you'll want to do there. So organization and stacks. Each of these things that you see listed there are stacks. All of these are stacks, and those, remember, are file drawers. So I've got a file drawer or a stack called Action Agendas. That's the place, and I put that one first because I want to start with big rocks first every day. So I put the action agenda first. I've got several action agendas in there for coaching, for training, for writing, for management team, and then I have one for daily stuff as well. So maybe that's more action agendas than you want, but I have a little checklist where I can check things off and add to it on a regular basis. And a key to that is keeping that up to date on a consistent basis for you, so you don't have that thing that we all do. Oh, was that today? I was supposed to do that? It's 11 o'clock at night. Was that inspection response today? Oh, my Lord. So don't forget. So action agendas, a buyer's stack, a seller's stack, a closed stack, and then I've got a bunch of coaching stacks in here, but you would probably also have a prospecting stack, which I thought was in here somewhere. I don't see it right now. But then I've got a template stack. You would want to do that too, probably, where you can store templates of things you want to use. And all you do would be to go in, open up the template that you want to use, whether it's, let's say it's a pending to closing checklist, and then you make a copy of that and move a copy of that to the Buyer Jones notebook, and boom, you can then keep track of that for Buyer Jones. I've got a personal stack in here as well. One of the things we'll talk about when we get into the Getting Things Done book and approach is don't try to separate personal and business. You know, you're running your own business. You're not in a situation, most of us here, where we have a job, where we have a boss, where we have to turn out 14 widgets every 10 minutes or whatever like that. We control our time, which is a blessing and also can be a curse. Don't try to separate the personal from the business. You've got to work them all in, and one of the beauties of this business is you can work in some personal with some business, and the key is to control it and do it on a proactive basis. So those are the different stacks that you'll want to consider looking at from a real estate business standpoint. Sellers, buyers, prospects, closed stacks, templates, action agendas, financial. I think I've got a financial. My financial one might actually be under my personal stack. So I put all the stuff for my wife's and my recent trip to India in an India notebook. So, you know, we had everything we needed: the plane tickets, the reservation for the hotel, the conversion of rupees to dollars. Little website was in there that if I couldn't find it, I could go there and click on that. So great stuff. This is not just for business. It's a helpful tool to keep you organized going forward. So, whoops. So let's move on and talk a little about those templates. I've already covered the templates that I went into. Actually, I want to go back to that. For some reason, I've gotten out of sync with my iPad here. Oops, I just lost the connection with my iPad that I was controlling things on there. Sorry about that. Let's try again. There we go. I already chatted about this, but I just want to show you briefly the templates. And I will send these around to everybody for distribution and would love to get feedback. Every agent who's been in the business for a good while probably has templates or forms that they've used for a buyer consultation, a listing consultation, and a listing sheet to get all the information to put a listing on the market. And then, steps to cover pending to closing to make sure, again, that we don't forget something. And the best way to do that is not just to have a sheet that you sort of forget about, but to have a checklist that you can go in. And again, one of the beauties of this system is that you'll see these little check boxes over there. You can set up a template or something on your own if you want to, like an action agenda. Put a checkbox on there so that you can go in, and I can't do it in this presentation, but I can show you live. You can go in, and when you've done it, you click on it, and it checks it to show you've done it. You might even want to put the date in there on some things. So an excellent, excellent tool for keeping yourself up to date and in control of things and never forgetting. Last couple of things I'll talk about with regard to Evernote are web clipping and the email forwarding. I've already talked about email forwarding a little bit. Here's an example of where I forwarded an email that I got from Inman News to Evernote because I want to put this, it's in my inbox right now. I just forwarded this last Thursday or Friday. I have a reading folder, a reading notebook, where stuff that I would like to read when I have a chance, I'll throw in there. It's nothing that I need to do in any time frame. It's reference stuff. It might be things I might give me ideas for training. It might give me ideas for coaching, et cetera, et cetera. It might help me with my work as well. So things like that, rather than flag them in your email, which is what I used to do, and then you usually forget that. Put them in your reading file if you like to do this kind of thing, and then maybe make a habit of every Thursday at 7 o'clock in the evening after dinner or before dinner or whatever, I'm going to go in and spend an hour looking through my reading file and doing some business skills improvement, reading through some of the things that I've saved in there. So the other element is web clipping, which again ties to allowing you to, well, I seem to have lost connection again here, sorry. Sorry about that. There we go. Let's go back to present. Okay. There. I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way directly from my computer. Web clipping to your reading list or to a folder. You see something on the internet. Again, you didn't get an email on this, but you're surfing the web one day and you see something that is of interest to you on the web, and you think, oh, I'd like to read that article or that piece or whatever it might be. You can, with a web clipping service that's part of Evernote, you just go in and you say, you click on the little elephant icon that would show up there, and it'll bring up the web clipping service thing in the right side of the page there, where you can choose where to send it. And if you can read that on there, I'm sending this one to my reading list and watch list. So I'm going to put that in my list of things to read later on. So two things you can add to your educational folder, so to speak, or your educational notebook, either by web clipping on things you find or by forwarding emails that come in from various things. So one of the best things about Evernote, though, is that you can annotate things. Listing appointment photos. You go take some pictures. You walk through a house. Maybe you're going to be using a stager. Maybe not. But even if you're using a stager, maybe there's some things that you can point out right away. These cracks in this wall here, you're going to need to take care of those. Snap a picture of it with your iPhone or your Android or your tablet. And then that evening after you get back from the listing appointment, pull out that photograph, put it into Evernote, open up the annotation thing, and put some little arrows and things like I've done on this little map here, and say, repair these cracks, or take care of these steamed windows or whatever. So you're sending something visual to the people so there's no misunderstanding, or you're minimizing the potential for misunderstanding. Well, you never told us to do that, this kind of thing. So listing appointment photos, tour photos, when you go out with some folks, and did I have a picture of that? No, I didn't. You've looked at some houses, and they've got maybe one or two that they've kept on the list. The other 5 or 6 that you're deleting, just delete them. The 1 or 2 that they liked, be sure to put maybe right on the MLS sheet or the photograph, love this kitchen with an arrow, just to remind you and them, put it in their shared notebook to remind them and you what they liked about that house, and any notes and feedback that you got from them on that. So if a week goes by or a month goes by, we're not sure we like that house anymore. We really, well, remember you guys liked this or that. Remember here, look at the photo there. You like that? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you. We'd forgotten that. It can be very helpful. Tour photos. And then this is one that the paperless agent came up with a couple of years ago. That's a company out in Texas who does everything via tablets and pads and things. They call this a lifestyle map, and I think it's a marvelous thing to help one win a listing with something when you've got a competitive listing. I haven't done this for a while, but you go out, you're meeting with somebody, and you tell them, one of the things that I'm going to do to help market your house, you guys have lived here for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever. You certainly know the neighborhood, what your kids have enjoyed about the neighborhood, where the best coffee shop is, where the best golf course is, whatever it might be, depending on where they live. I'm going to put together, as part of our marketing to attract people to see and love your house, what I call a lifestyle map, where I'm going to bring up, and you have your iPad or your Android tablet, and you bring it up, a Google map, and you have them help you. How big of an area should I size this to be? You want it to be where you can see the street names, but you also want it to be a broad enough area that you can see the dog park far enough away, or that you can see the great cupcake restaurant and Grater's ice cream down the street. So you size it to what they suggest, but of course small enough that you can see most of the street names, especially the major ones. And then you say, tell me what you liked about living here. Well, we love to jog and bike on the Monon Trail. Boom, put that right on there. I didn't realize that was that close to the Monon Trail. That's fabulous. Let's go look at that house. All the Broad Ripple galleries and eateries, great Creole food and fresh market is down at that location. So all the things that you like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, about this area, and that your kids like. Johnny and Sally love this, the little swing set that looks like Batman or whatever it might be. Put that stuff in the lifestyle map, because you're telling and sharing what you liked about this home with the people that you're hoping will want to come and live here as well. Now, is that too personal? I don't think so. You're not saying Sammy and Billy like this or that. You're just saying jog and bike on the Monon Trail. You're recommending things. Great dog park here. When we talk about staging things and removing personal items, that's pictures of Johnny and Sally. That's pictures of you at the dog park with your dog. Those are personal. So this is a little bit different. This is the essence of what makes this neighborhood a fabulous place. So hopefully there's a difference there. So Evernote, I encourage you to look into Evernote. Download the free version, play around with it. If you would like to sit down with me, and we could even do it over the phone if you're one of the other offices, I will be glad to walk you through getting it set up and how to begin to use it in more detail. So today was just an overview of sort of Evernote 101 for everybody, and I hope you've gotten some interest in it, and I will continue to talk about Evernote. And again, our management team at the company uses this for sharing information, sharing notes, and communicating with different things that we do. And it's a great tool to use for your clients. So let's move on to a complementary element that goes along with using Evernote, and that has to do with best practices, leveraging your time. This is a crucial element for all of us, no matter how long we've been in the business, and that is getting things done. I talked a minute ago, this is an especially busy time, typically with transactions, especially if we could find more people who wanted to list their houses and there was enough inventory on the market, that would be even better. But the key is getting things done. I've read over my lifetime quite a few books on time management and systems and things like this. This book, Getting Things Done by David Allen, is in my mind and in most people's minds, hands down the very best one. Partly because it's very simple, very straightforward, and it's a short book. I think it's probably 100 pages or less, with lots of pictures in it. So that's a wonderful thing. The keys for getting things done, leveraging your time, is just that, getting things done. And David Allen in general talks about that focus is the key. And the key to focus is quieting the puppy. Buddhists talk about all of us having puppy dog mind, and that gets in the way of meditating or doing yoga or whatever. Your puppy dog mind, your puppy dogs are running all over the place, bouncing all over the place, and then they fall asleep for a while, of course. But puppy dogs we mainly think of as being surprised, falling down, getting into trouble, and going every which way and not concentrating on anything for very long at a time. That's what most of our minds tend to be like, especially this time of the year when we are in the middle of thinking about how to work with our client on that inspection response that's so strange. And then we get another text from another client saying, I want to make an offer on this house. Can we meet at 2 o'clock? And then as we're printing out the MLS sheets for that one to go meet them at 2 o'clock, we get another text from another prospect that says, we've decided we want to look at houses. Could you meet us at 4? So, our mind, and those are good things, of course. Our puppy dog mind also goes into, where was that place that we had those great hot dogs the other day? Those were really good. Why am I thinking about this? But that's the puppy dog mind. Everything comes at us from every direction all the time. So a big key to that is quieting our puppy dog mind. And how do we do that? We do that by having a great place to store things, a great place that we have the confidence to know that we'll remember that hot dog restaurant when it's time to go to Chicago next and actually go to that hot dog restaurant, and that we can respond to that Facebook post asking about that hot dog restaurant later on. We don't have to worry about that now because that's something we know and we'll take care of. The same with the other business things that crop up. The reason we oftentimes turn into a puppy dog when things come at us rapidly is because we don't have a system to make sure we're in control of everything we need to be in control of getting done. And that's the key for his system. And I'm going to go into his flow chart for how it works. But what he talks about is having a bucket or a series of buckets where you put things, and the key in the getting things done approach is to collect things that command our attention and process what those things mean and what we need to do about them immediately. You walk in the office, you stop by the inbox, you grab 2 things out of the inbox as you're walking to your office, process them immediately, unless you're talking on the phone and sending a text at the same time to somebody different. Process what they mean. If it's a flyer from an inspection company, and I'm going to go into detail what to do about that. If it's a flyer from an inspection company, it's a bill from your board for your tech fees. Process those immediately and do something with them. And I'm going to tell you what you do with things like that, and have dealt with those when you walk into your office in 23 seconds. Organize the results of your thoughts and reactions to these things, and then review options for what we might do and decide the best course of action. That's all rolls into one thing, basically. Process them. What do you need to do about it? And then the things you need to do something about, just do it. Here's the flow chart. Very simple. It's got a lot of things to it, but it's very, very simple. Pretty much binary steps all the way down. Something comes in. Is it actionable? I hate using words like that as verbs, but this one works okay. In other words, do I have to take some action with regard to this thing? Let's start with no. Okay, it's that flyer from an inspector who you're getting tired of getting the things from, and you don't like the way they do their business anyway. So what are you going to do with that? Is it actionable? No. In other words, it doesn't require me to actually do any work or anything on it. So I'm going to throw it in the trash right away. I'm not going to lay it on my desk when I get into my office and think about it and maybe peruse it. I know already I don't like this inspector, or whatever it might be. I don't like this lender. I'm not going to use these guys. I don't care what they're doing. Or it's a personal thing, whatever. right into the trash. Don't lay it on your desk to look at next, later on. We all do that though, don't we? We know we don't want to do anything with this thing, and yet we lay it on our desk all too often. Throw it right in the trash. Boom. The same happens with emails and things like that. When the time comes to go through your emails, if it's something you don't want or know you don't have anything or concern about, delete it immediately. Don't leave something that you think you might want to do later in your emails. There's a thing to do with those, and that's called reference or someday. We just talked about something you can do with things like that in Evernote. You get an email that comes in from Inman News. It's got a lead article on it. You don't have time to read it right then, but you've looked at it to see whether it's actionable. You say, aha, I'd like to read that article. That might be a good coach's playbook subject or add something to the training. So boom, forward that to Evernote, and that goes in the someday low priority reading folder in Evernote. But the key is I've dealt with it immediately. How often do we see that email that comes in from Inman News or Zappos, and we think, well, maybe I might like to look at some booze later on. No, if you do think you'd like to look at some booze later on, forward it to Evernote and get it out of what's in front of you. The problem with the puppy dog is that every time we then go to look at our email and we scan down, we see that Zappos thing still in there. It takes 2 seconds to think about it and dismiss it, and it takes us out of the flow of thinking about what we need to be thinking about. In other words, it takes us out of our focus. So, as he said, focus is the key, and dealing with things immediately and quickly is the response to that. So, the someday folder in Evernote, the reference folder, that might be different than the read type thing. You might get a little thing from Morgan Stanley that is an update on strategies for you to consider, in your investing or something like that with your 401k or your SEP IRA. I'm sorry, that we all have, set up with Morgan Stanley, hopefully, and that you might want to put into your financial reference folder. But the key is, quick look at it, assess what it is. Do I need to do anything about this right now? When he says, is it actionable, that means, do I need to do something and respond to this right now, or is it for later on? If it's for later on, or trash, throw it away. If it's for later on, either it goes into your reference. Again, Morgan Stanley might go into my financial folder for later reference when I have a chance. The someday would be, again, this has no real bearing on my life. I might like to read it someday, so I'm going to keep it in there. Whereas the Morgan Stanley thing does have some impact on me potentially, but I don't need to do anything about that right now, and I can get to that whenever I want to. So that's the difference between reference and the someday reading file. But the key is that first step. Something comes in, phone call, text, email, that other agent walks in the door of your office and says, hey, Jade, how you doing? Is it actionable, or are you in the middle of something? How do you respond to that? If this is an agent that you have been looking for and asked to come see you, boom, you interrupt what you're doing. If you're in the middle of something, you graciously ask the person, hey, I'm in the middle of something. Could I come catch you in 10 minutes? Or whatever it might be. Don't do what most of us, including me, often do. Sit there and, talk with them, half turned from the computer, looking occasionally at your watch, hoping they'll pick up a signal that you are engaged in something. Frankly, shame on me, that's rude to do. If you're going to engage with somebody, engage with somebody. If you can't engage with somebody, then daggone it, have the courtesy and the respect for that person to not waste their time and say, I'm in the middle of something right now. Could I come and catch you in 10 minutes or 50 or an hour from now? Is this something that could wait? Perfect. That's great. Thank you. I'll catch up with you in half an hour. So in management, obviously, we want to be there to help people whenever they come in. So we're going to be as responsive as possible. But just something to be aware of as you walk around the office and talk to other people. Be aware of their time as they're trying to go through the actionable sequence. So, okay, we've dealt with no. What if it's yes, actionable? That means something needs to be done right now with it. You need to respond to this right now. And again, the key in dealing with emails is to set a time where you go through your emails. How many of you, when you call certain agents, they say, I'm out of the office showing houses until 2 p.m. and I'll be going through my emails from 4 to 5 today. I used to think that was kind of goofy, and I would never have a voicemail that said that. Personally, it may work if you like to do that, that's fine. But I like the concept. The more I learned about time management, emails are a huge interruption. So go through your emails a similar time if you can every day. Maybe it's 8 to 8:30 every morning before the grind gets going. Maybe it's 4:30 to 5 every evening before you start with your evening routine or go to your family. Obviously, if you've got a situation where you've got a transaction going and you're waiting on a counter or waiting on a signature from your client, of course you're going to check your email to see if that comes in or not. And but you're going to see quickly if that email is not there, then boom, you close your email and you go on about doing what you're doing. So one of the biggest things you can do to improve your flow and quiet that puppy dog and focus is to set a specific time and only look at emails at a certain time. Again, I struggle with this. I've talked about this for years. I hear that ding and my first response is to look, and gosh, my daughter just texted me. Oh boy, but she's fine. So that's a huge thing to do. So the key is process things and control the time when you're doing that. And the key is right in the middle there. If it would take less than 2 minutes while you're processing things, in other words, you've walked in, you've just grabbed the things out of your inbox. Is there a MyBor bill, a flyer from a check for closing, and a flyer from a painting company and a flyer from an inspection company? What do you do with those? Process them immediately. If they're trash, or put them in your reference, deal with it right away. The check, throw that in your briefcase to be deposited, or hopefully it's the automatic deposit for you. If it's an invoice from MyBar, stick that in your financial thing to be paid when it's due, and put a note on your thing, and boom, you go on with it. Don't do what we also most of the time do, is take that stack of stuff, do nothing with it, and lay it on your desk, because you're having to start over again, either later that day or the next day or whatever, and go, okay, what do I got here? So you've just wasted time by doing that. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, deal with it right away. And those goes into either, yes, it takes less than 2 minutes, then do it. Just do it. Get rid of it. Do it. Put it away. Stick it in the file. Go make a scan of it and put it in your notebook and throw away the hard copy. Boom, you've done it. Or if it's something that you can defer and put it on your calendar, you just got an email. You're going through your emails, and you got an email that your client has scheduled the inspection with the inspection on the house that he's has under contract, and the inspection is going to be next Thursday at 2. Put it on your calendar. Boom, on you go. Or if it's something that goes into your action list, you can put it on your action list if it doesn't go on your calendar, but you've got tasks that are in your action agendas, that are things you need to do. Boom, right into Evernote, add it to your task list. Just got an email from my boss asking me to write a press release for us opening a new office in Pasadena, California. Boom, need to do that. First thing I'm going to do is probably ask him, when do you need it? And then if he's got a date, I'll put a calendar. But if he doesn't, if he just says, as soon as you have a chance in the next few days, I'm just going to put that at the top of my hot list on my action agenda, and boom, I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it there. I don't have to go back through my list and go, oh, Craig asked me to do something. What was it he asked me to do? It's already taken care of and dealt with and on my list of action items to do, so that when I go in and look at that the next time, boom, I'm starting right there. So calendar, or weighted, if you can delegate it. Is it something the staff can do? It's something you need Michael Albrecht to do, or your trainer to do, to help you with, or whatever. Can you delegate it or push it down to somebody else? So we're just about done here. We've gone 45 minutes here. So getting things done and Evernote. 2 fabulous tools that I really encourage you to look into. Your coaches, your management is there to help you with these things. I will do more classes on this. If you run into problems with it, give me a call. These are great tools, especially Evernote. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Jane, you and I, for our next coaching session, are going to be doing Evernote, right? So the key, These are things that will help you grab the big rocks first. Remember, we talk about the big rocks are those marketing and lead generation activities, the rainmaking activities, as Peak Producers calls them, the CEO activities, as they call those. If you're not organized in what you're doing, you will never get a hold of those big rocks. And those big rocks are the most important ones to have a business that continues to grow and is as steady as possible. And if you don't get the big rocks, the success is not going to be guaranteed for you. So grab those big rocks first. So to summarize, the skill of integrating these tools of Evernote and the Getting Things Done, or GTD, you'll see it referred to as GTD. Sounds like an old Pontiac car or something like that. Organizing these and getting them into your routine and getting into the habit of big rocks first. Remember, when we talk about big rocks first, those are first, not most. You will spend by far most of your time on the little rocks, on the sand, on the water. That's the day-to-day whirlwind activities, and you need to do a great job with your clients in order to have those big rocks to grab a hold of. But if you then prioritize your day, using these now new tools to help you do that, to organize that sand and those pebbles in that water, to help you focus, to quiet the puppy, to focus so that every day or 3 days a week or 2 days a week, you can absolutely always count on focusing on those big rocks. That's going to help you have a better attitude and greater confidence in knowing you are controlling your day, getting things done, and building your business. So, Evernote for Real Estate 101 and Getting Things Done. Looks like we may have a question or comment. Gary Borum asked if I'm busy right now. I'm going to throw that in the trash. So I'm going to deal. That takes less than 2 minutes, and I'm going to throw that into the trash. Thank you, Gary. Anyway, if you know any other questions, we'll end the recording section here. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you at Michael's class tomorrow for Tech Savvy, where he's going to be talking about managing your internet leads. Wow, that sounds like a big rock to me. Take care.